Okay, I hope I am audible to all the students who are attending this lecture. In macro, today we start with a very important topic, which is based on your concepts of ISLM. This is called as the aggregate demand. Formally, it's the first unit of your semester 3 macro. Whatever classes were given for ISLM were given to brush up so that your base becomes strong to understand this particular chapter. Okay, so recall the IS curve shows combinations of Y and I. The IS curve shows combinations of Y and I such that the goods market is in equilibrium. Goods market is in equilibrium means output is exactly equal to the aggregate demand. The LM curve shows the combinations of Y and I such that the money market is in equilibrium. Such that the money market is in equilibrium. When I say money market is in equilibrium, what does that mean? That means supply of real money balances M by P is equal to demand of real money balances, which is KY minus HI. Now all students should be able to recall K stands for sensitivity of demand of real money balances to the level of income. H stands for sensitivity of demand of real money balances to the rate of interest. My money demand function was KY minus HI. M by P denotes the real supply of money. Okay. Now, what will AD curve show us? So, aggregate demand curve represents combinations. AD curve represents combinations of output and prices such that both the goods market and the money market are in equilibrium. Both the goods market and the money market are in equilibrium. So AD curve will show you combinations of output and prices Y and P such that both the goods market and the money market are in equilibrium. So all points on the AD curve would mean that goods market is also in equilibrium and money market is also in equilibrium. Okay, so now let's move forward. Let's write the heading derivation of AD curve. Derivation of the aggregate demand curve. So let's look at the AD chain, aggregate demand chain. When price falls, what happens? All of us know that when price falls, M by P, which is the real supply of money, increases. When P falls, P is in the denominator. When P falls, M by P rises. When real supply of money increases, all of you remember the LM chain, it's the same. The LM chain which we had done, it's exactly the same. When M by P rises, commercial banks, central banks have printed a lot of money and given it to the commercial banks. commercial banks have excess money with themselves, they'll be able to loan out only by reducing the interest rates by how much? Minus 1 upon h times change in M by P. If you remember, when interest rates fall, investment in the economy increases by minus B change in I. When investment increases, output increases by minus B alpha G change in I. When output increases, money demand increases by K change in Y. When money demand increases, interest rates will increase. When there is excess money demand in the economy, the banks will increase the rate of interest so that the public starts keeping money with the bank. So interest rates go up by K by H times change in Y. And when interest rates go up, investment falls by minus B change in I dash. The reason I've used minus B change in I dash is because I have already used minus B change in I before. And when investment falls, output falls by minus B alpha G change in I dash. So if you all remember, this is all coming from ISLM. If you do not understand ISLM well, you cannot understand the today's lecture well. So I hope all students are clear. Now let us derive it diagrammatically. So let's look at the diagram. So initially we have output on the horizontal axis, interest rates on the vertical axis, initial IS curve, initial LM curve. IS curve is drawn for a given level of autonomous expenditure A bar. If you remember, A bar was C bar, TR bar, TA bar, G bar, I bar, all the bars. And LM is drawn for a given level of money supply, M by P0, where P0 is the initial price. Initial equilibrium, initial interest rate, and initial equilibrium level of output in the economy. Now, when price falls, M by P goes up. When real money supply goes up, LM curve shifts downwards and to the right from LM0 to LM1, which is M by P1. First, interest rates fall from I0 to I1. The fall in interest rate is how much? Minus 1 upon H times change in M by P. When interest rates fall, investment increases, eventually output also increases. So I go from Y0 to Y1 by how much? Minus B alpha G change in I. When output goes up, money demand goes up. When money demand goes up, interest rates again start rising from I1. So from I1, interest rates start rising back to I2. Okay. So when interest rates start rising, interest rates rise by how much? K by H times change in Y. That means from I1 to I2, the rise is K by H times change in Y. When interest rates rise, investment falls, output also falls. From Y1 to Y2. Remember the crowding out? Ultimately, we move from point E to point E1. Now, what do you observe? Look at the terms I'm circling. Price is falling and eventually my output is going up. Eventually, my output goes up from Y0 to Y2. So when price falls, from P0 to P1 output in net terms increases from Y0 to Y2. So what does this change show? This change shows the inverse relationship between prices and output. Therefore, my aggregate demand curve is downward sloping. My aggregate demand curve is downward sloping because when price is falling, in net terms, it is causing the output to rise from Y0 to Y2. So hence my aggregate demand curve is downward sloping. So if I draw a bigger diagram now, so you can see the bigger diagram. So in pictures, you have Y and I here. We have Y and P here, price. Okay. Initial IS curve, initial LM curve. IS curve is drawn for a given level of autonomous expenditure. LM curve is drawn for a given level of real money supply. This is initial equilibrium level of output demanded in the economy. This is I0, initial interest rate. Okay. And this is my price level. Sorry, this is my output level Y0 when my price is P0. This is my output level Y0 when my price is P0. Now when price falls from P0 to P1, what happens to the LM curve? Shifts to the right. Interest rates fall by -1 upon H times change in M by P. Output rises from Y0 to Y1 by minus B alpha G change in I, which causes money demand to rise. Rise in money demand will cause the interest rates to eventually start rising back from I1 to I2. This rise from I1 to I2 will be K by H times change in Y. The fall from I0 to I1 is -1 upon H times change in M by P. The rise from I1 to I2 is K by H times change in Y. Output falls from Y1 to Y2, and this tiny fall is how much? Minus B alpha G change in I dash. So now Y2 is the new level of output. Y2 is the new level of output when the price has fallen from P0 to P1. So this point E is this point E here. This point E1 is this point E1 here. When I join points E1, E and E1, what do I get? I get the aggregate demand curve. When I join points E and E1, I get the aggregate demand curve. So we can clearly see that the aggregate demand curve is downward sloping. So aggregate demand curve is downward sloping. Because higher the price, lower are the real balances. Higher the price, lower are the real balances, and hence lower is the equilibrium level of spending. Lower is the equilibrium level of spending or output. Also, all students, please note the Y here does not denote supply. Supply, we are not talking about supply. We are talking about demand. Y here denotes equilibrium level of income demanded. Supply will come from the labor market. That is something we will do in this semester. But right now we are not talking about supply. Y here denotes equilibrium. Y here denotes income demanded or spending, and the equal, and this point y0 and y2, these are equilibrium levels of income demanded. So please do not think of Y as supply. It's not supply. It's level of spending or output in the economy. It's level of spending or income demanded in the economy. Okay, so aggregate demand curve is downward sloping. Higher the price level, lower the real balances, and lower the level of equilibrium spending and output. Lower the price, higher the real balances, and higher will be the level of equilibrium spending and output. All this comes from the LM chain. Okay, now let us see, when will the aggregate demand curve be flat and steep? So AD will be flatter. AD will be flatter if small changes in prices cause large changes in output. If small changes in prices cause large changes in output, and AD will be steeper if changes in prices cause small changes in output. If changes in prices cause large changes in output, AD curve will be flatter. If changes in prices cause small changes in output, AD curve will be steeper. So to understand this, you can see the diagram also. Suppose this is my price and output combination. A small fall in price causes a large increase in output. So AD curve will be flatter, AD curve, and a given change in price, a given fall in price, this is my initial Y and P combination. A given fall in price causes only a tiny increase in output. A given fall in price causes only tiny increase in output. In this case, my AD curve will be, in this case will be steeper. So I can write, therefore slope of the AD curve depends on what all factors? B, alpha G, H, and K. The slope of the AD curve depends on B, alpha G, H, and K. Now let's look at what these values will be. So if you remember the AD chain, what was the AD chain? I am quickly writing it. When P falls, M by P goes up, interest rates fall, by minus 1 upon H change in M by P. Investment rises by minus B change in I. Output rises by minus B alpha G change in I, which implies money demand rises by K change in Y, which implies interest rates rise by K by H change in Y, which implies investment falls by minus B change in I dash, which implies output also falls by minus B alpha G change in I dash. Now you guys tell me, should B be large or should B be small for AD curve to be flatter? So first of all, what does B measure? Sensitivity of, or I can say interest sensitivity of investment. B captures the interest sensitivity of investment. So should B be large or should B be small? We want the AD curve to be flatter. Flatter means small change in price should lead to large change in output. When do we have large change in output? If B, look on to this, look where B comes in the chain. So B comes in the chain here for the first time. So if B is large, for a given fall in interest rates, investment will increase by a larger amount. Investment will increase by a larger amount means output will also increase by a larger amount. So for a given fall in P, output will increase by a larger amount when B is large. So I can say if B is large, then for a given fall in I, investment will increase by larger magnitude. Investment will increase by a larger magnitude, which implies output will also increase by larger magnitude. Therefore, flatter AD curve. So AD curve will be flat if B is large. Second, alpha G. Alpha G, all of us know it denotes the government expenditure multiplier. 1 upon 1 minus C into 1 minus T. We had derived it in the ISLM lectures. Now, what happens if for AD curve to be flat, what should alpha G be? Obviously, alpha G should be large. Larger the alpha G, greater the magnitude by which the IS curve will shift, higher will be the output in the economy. So that means if alpha G is large, then for a given increase in investment, increase in Y will be large. You can see that from the chain. For a given increase in investment, increase in output will be large if alpha G is large, which implies flatter AD curve. So what do we learn? Therefore, for AD to be flatter, B and alpha G both should be large. For AD curve to be flatter, B and alpha G both should be large. And if B and alpha G are both large, what does this mean? This implies a flatter IS curve. This implies a flatter IS curve. Remember, for IS curve to be flat, B and alpha G both should be large. Something we had done in the Keynesian economy lectures. So for AD curve to be flatter, IS curve should be flatter. That means B and alpha G should be large. Reverse will happen for IS to be steep. So I can say for IS to be steep, for AD to be steep, for aggregate demand to be steeper, B and alpha G both should be small. Which means steeper IS curve. Steeper IS curve. So for AD to be flatter, B and alpha G should be large, flatter IS curve. For AD to be steeper, B and alpha G should be small, steeper IS curve. Now let us move on to H and K. We are not over with this yet. Let us now look at H and K. So point 3, H. What does H capture? H captures sensitivity of demand for real money balances. Sensitivity of demand for real money balances to the rate of interest. Now I ask you, what should H be? Small. Very good. H should be small. Why? Because where is H coming first in the equation? Look at the AD chain. H is coming here. So we stop here. If H is small, then for a given increase in M by P, fall in I will be large. Interest rates will fall by a larger magnitude. If interest rate falls by a larger magnitude, investment will increase by a larger magnitude, output will increase by a larger magnitude. So for AD curve to be flatter, H should be small. Okay, so I can say if H is small for a given increase in M by P, interest rates will fall by a larger magnitude. Interest rates will fall by a larger magnitude, which implies investment will increase by a larger magnitude, which implies output will also increase by a larger magnitude, which implies flatter AD curve. So for AD curve to be flat, my H should be small. And we can do the same analysis for K. So K denotes sensitivity of demand for real money balances to the level of income. So where is K coming? If you look at the chain, K is coming in the end. K is coming here. So what should K be? So K should also be small. Why? Because if K is small, for a given increase in Y, money demand will increase by a smaller magnitude, which implies interest rates will increase by a smaller magnitude, which implies investment eventually will fall by a smaller magnitude, which implies output eventually will fall by a smaller magnitude, which implies less crowding out. Less crowding out means more output. More output means flatter AD curve. So I can quickly write this so that it becomes crystal clear. If K is small for a given rise in output, money demand will increase by a smaller magnitude, which implies interest rates will increase by smaller magnitude, which implies investment will fall by smaller magnitude, which implies output will eventually fall by smaller magnitude, which implies less crowding out. Now there is shortage of space, but still let me try and manage it, which implies less crowding out. And less crowding out will mean more output. So this means that for AD curve to be flatter, H should also be small, K should also be small. So guys, if H and K both are small, will the LM curve be flatter or steeper? Will the LM curve be flatter or will it be steeper? What's the slope of the LM curve? If all students can be able to recall it, the slope of the LM curve was K by H. Slope of the LM curve is K by H. And the slope parameter is only H. Remember, when we talk about LM curve, K is the shift parameter, not the slope parameter. The slope parameter is H. So look at H. H should be small. H small means the whole thing is large because H is in the denominator. If H is small, K by H is large. K by H is large means steeper LM curve. Therefore, for AD to be flatter, LM curve should be steeper. That is, H and K both should be small. So I hope all the students have understood the whole worked out thing behind the flatness of the AD curve. Both H and K should be small, but slope of the LM curve, the slope parameter here is H. If H is small, K by H is large. If K by H is large, slope of the LM curve is high. That means LM curve should be steeper. So if I sum up, for AD curve to be flatter, IS should be flat and LM should be steep. That is, B and alpha G should be large and H and K should be small. Second point, for AD curve to be steeper, IS should be steep, and LM should be flat. That is, B and alpha G should be small and H and K should be large. So I hope all the students have understood till here. I am open for doubts if any. If in case anyone has a doubt, you can ask. Okay, if there are no doubts, this is how I plan to do. I want a 10-minute break and I want to give all students a 10-minute break. So I will be putting on the WhatsApp group join. So be vigilant on the WhatsApp group. When I ask you to join, join back using the same link. And I just have to take a 20-25 minute more lecture that will finish your aggregate demand topic. So please wait for my reply on the WhatsApp group. Roughly in 10 minutes, all of us will join using the same link to finish up the aggregate demand lecture. Okay, so this is where I stop for this lecture.